Welcome back into another episode of George in the Jungle, presented as always by Remington Tavern, coming at you live from the Cincy Light Studios. Remington Tavern can be found at 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140, where they have their daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m. $5 bourbon whiskey Wednesdays, bottle cap bonanza Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. You can check them out on Instagram at RemyTav Cincy. That's REMITAV, Cincy with a Y, or follow them on Facebook. While you're there, grab yourself an ice cold Cincy Light. They got it on tap. You'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't do so. All right. With that, George, we don't normally start the show with Chad. He usually has his own things to do, but with it being camp, with me not being able to be there, with you not being able to be there, I thought we'd bring in a guy who has been there, as Chad's been at every practice at this point, and it's been higher ground up until this week as they transitioned yesterday into the IPF, and just plenty of stuff going on there. A lot of names emerging.
Well, I got there, what day was that? Friday. I was there for a little bit. But I had to leave during the live stuff, Chad, when they really started getting after it. But I saw some things that I really liked. First of all, one thing that didn't shock me, but boy, is that Walker kid put together at running back for 5'8", and
he looks like a cartoon almost.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, my God, this dude's thick. I mean, he is a bowling ball, and
I'm convinced that someone cut open the back of his legs and put like softballs.
I couldn't get over
his calves and zipped him back up.
I mean, those reminded me of the calves Kajana Carter had when I saw him for the first time. It's like, my God, this guy is put together. Big kid, he's mature and not big in height, but whoo, he's a man. I expect some pretty good things out of him. I really do. And then I got to see the receivers going through those one-on-one drills and stuff. And a lot of them, they were, I'll say this, I saw some true freshmen actually making some pretty decent plays in the defensive backfield. But a lot of it was the one-on-one stuff. And sometimes the receivers made the catch, but at least they were somewhat contested. And I saw Caldwell make some contested catches. I saw Cyrus Allen with a sweet little spin move down the sideline. Noah Jennings was impressive. But when I was there, Chad, that true freshman at wide receiver was unbelievable. Like that dude.
Kontosis, yeah.
Oh, my God. And so I went back. I started looking at some high school stuff of his, too. And they got a keeper right there.
Yeah, I mean, Cyrus Allen has said, like, I haven't seen a freshman like him.
Right.
Cyrus Allen's been in college for a while. He's seen some things.
Right.
And that's a big – but the problem is there's a lot of guys in front of him. I don't know exactly, like, where do you squeeze him in if you're going to play him this year?
Right. And a lot of that's probably going to depend on, how much he picks up of the offense and knows and can do. But man, that kid is definitely grabbing some attention there with the way that the camp he's having. So yeah, it's a good problem for them to have, considering where they were. I think they are in pretty good hands there at wide receiver.
So far, so good. I mean, that's the best. None of it matters until we see it on Saturdays.
Correct.
But so far, so good. I've been okay with it so far.
With Caldwell, and correct me, Chad, it may have been an interview you did with someone. One of the coaches was saying what they wanted to see out of him was, winning contested catches and stuff.
That's been me. That's been my thing with him is he's adjusting. He's never
somewhere, but I did see him do that a couple times. I was pretty pleased.
He's not bad at it. I'm not saying it's like a major. I need to see against an elevated level of competition him go up and win those jump balls.
Yes, and we'll see if he can, but he's certainly big enough to do that. That's for sure.
Yeah, the other thing that surprised me, George, and I'm interested in your thoughts, he's bigger, more physical than I thought he was going to be.
Yes.
Like when you hear about guys like that, you think like skinny legs,
Right.
thin hips. Like when you look at him, knees to midsection, he's pretty well put together for a lanky, long wide receiver.
Yeah, when I saw, I just see height and weight when they sign him and all that, and he definitely was bigger than I expected, thicker than I expected, and he seemed to. It seems like he talked a little bit the day I was there too, but he had something to talk about early in practice.
There's been a lot of chatting.
Yeah, but what I saw was good, and I just feel like all those interviews you guys have been doing with the coaches and stuff, they feel like they finally have the size and speed to compete in this conference, and maybe. Again, you got to see it on Saturdays. You got to see it against the real guys and not just your own guys. But I hope they're right, because, yes, that was sorely lacking 2 years ago, lacking last year, especially when it came with that receiver core. But I think they may have gotten it fixed. And then I'll say this. I saw the kicker, too, and he can boom it. I got to see him do. I was pleased with that. I thought that the true freshman quarterback's a big kid too. He was bigger than I thought he would be. So it's good to see. And what I saw, you don't know till they, hit the field against Nebraska. But I feel pretty good about what they've done and what they said they were going to do, and are they achieving that goal? And it seems like they are.
George, a lot of things we've been talking about as we've been leading up to camp has been some of the different position battles. Is there any position battles that you have questions on right now as things stand, or do you feel pretty good about what you've read, what you've heard, what you've seen?
Yeah, pretty good about it. But I mean, it looks like they've got a pretty good mix at linebacker where they can go some different directions. And Chad, you'll know, like the defensive ends and the edge guys and all that. How are they looking there? Because that's the question everyone had coming in about that defensive line. I know there's some guys in the middle, but
they're getting there. CJ McCray has been very good over the past couple of days. Like we've talked about, it's hard in the first 4 or 5 practices. They're not in full pads. The first couple days, they're in just helmets and shorts. It's really hard to get a judge on O-line, D-line at that point.
Yes, it is.
There's some narratives that are starting to build. CJ McCray being maybe the biggest so far. But yeah, you've seen Jalen White McClain making some plays. You've seen Jalen Hunt making some plays. I'd like to see Micah Coleman flash a little bit more, but there's also something I started to notice today that I think is probably maybe not being talked about enough, and that is, in this system, we have talked about this a bunch, the best years at Iowa State have been years where the defensive line has been good, but the defensive line occupied at the line of scrimmage, and the linebackers made plays all over the place. And there was a year that they had 3 all-conference linebackers at Iowa State when Vite was the position coach. And you're starting to see a little bit more. I saw Brian Sims today. I saw Simeon Coleman today. Those at Golday, obviously, those guys are doing a great job flying around and being aggressive as the defensive linemen are starting to take up space, and then the linebackers are being attacking and making plays. And I think that's something to note, that like when this defense has been at its best at Iowa State, it's when the linebackers have been great, because the play of the defensive line has been good and held its own. And then that frees them up to run around and fly to the ball.
Yeah, and it feels like they've got the guys to do that, and they've got a little bit of depth there too, where they can keep guys a little fresher than what maybe they've been able to do the past couple of years. I mean,
I mean,
they
that's
had
the other
Dingle
thing.
out there playing with, he was
Yeah.
held together with duct tape.
And Golden got beat up at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't necessarily have, like, you're not talking about a 50-50 split, but
Right.
if you can give, Dingle a series off each half, you can give Golday a series off each half, and there's not a huge drop. Or
Right.
if you get into those long drives, a team's on a 8-10 play drive, and you can get them off the field on play 5 and get a fresh body in there, that makes a difference over the course of a season.
Certainly, and it makes a difference over the course of a game when it's the fourth quarter and the game's on the line too, and that's something that's kind of bit them a little bit here lately. So
For sure.
hopefully we see improvement there.
For sure.
Nebraska is creeping up on us. Are there anything, George, that you feel like this team really needs to get together as you have roughly two weeks to prep before you're in full, like, locked in, it's time right now to focus only on Nebraska?
They just got to be just hopefully, and it's going to help Sorsby being another year in this and knowing what he's doing, because let's face it all starts right there. And hopefully the offensive line is gelled enough at that point, but you don't know how that is till live fire starts. But you don't want those unforced errors and those penalties, pre-snap penalties, and all that kind of stuff derailing you. So I just want them to feel comfortable and be able to play fast and do the things they're being taught to do now, and that they were taught in spring ball. And hopefully it's all just second nature, and they're not out there needing a preseason game, so to speak. And it's to me, that's got to be so tough as a college football coach, and knowing that you're going to be tested right out of the gate without having a chance to really work on anything in a live scrimmage against another team. And you're just out there and you're playing a formidable opponent. You're playing someone on your level, and that's tough, man. I would rather, schedule a Northwestern State in week 1 and kind of get the kinks out. So I don't know. I just think it's a tough way to start the season, but a lot of teams are doing it. You look at some of that opening weekend's got a lot of great games.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know, Chad, anything that you're keeping an eye on as you kind of the same question as they gear up for Nebraska? Obviously they're not locked in right
we're
now.
Not gearing up for Nebraska yet.
We're not there yet. You still got two weeks of practice in camp here before you're dialing in on that game plan. But just an overall, I mean, we've talked a lot of in depth, but as you're kind of taking a step back and looking at that 40,000 foot view, where do you feel like they probably need the most improvement? I mean, even last night you were talking about that you're maybe at a 6.5 as opposed to your original 5. So
yeah, but that's not going to change until they play. Sure. I don't think there's anything they can do. If the baseline is a 5, my excitement level for the season is not going above a 7 until I see them against Nebraska. Like, there's almost nothing they can do at camp that's going to change that, because it's practice. We're talking about practice, man.
Right.
Practice. We're talking about practice, man.
Not a game. Not a
game. They haven't been good enough in too many of the fine details that result in wins, and that are the differentiator between wins and losses. I was on Big 12 radio today, and they were kind of talking about, at Big 12 Media Day when they had Satterfield on, he was talking about mental mistakes and special teams and, just these little things that kept adding up in that 5-game losing streak, in the losses last year. that's on you, coach. Like those are your things to fix and to shore up. I firmly believe this is probably far and away the most overall talent they've had since Satterfield has been here. I think they've done a very good job building a roster. But that only goes so far. I think Luke Paschall is maybe the most important guy in this football program right now. Got to talk to him finally for today for the first time. That video is on the YouTube homepage, so go check that out. It's very good. But, there's just so much stuff that was self-inflicted that could have been avoided that would have given us an entirely different view on where this program is heading into year 3 under Scott Satterfield. But those things happen. And because those things happened, I cannot just simply say the talent is better. They're unquestionably going to go out and win 8-9 games. I need them to show me.
Yeah.
So camp is great, but ultimately it's impossible to really tell what you have until you're out there on a Saturday figuring it out and showing the resolve of the team, the attention to detail of the team, the way the team executes, like George was talking about, the false starts and, the holding penalties, stuff that, your offense might be playing great. And you start at the 25 and you get to the other team's 45 and you're feeling good. And then it's 1st and 10 from their 45. You get a holding penalty. The drive derails. You're out of field goal range. How do you salvage that? Maybe you don't get the first down, but you get the ball enough to where you can kick a field goal. You get 3 points out of it and you salvage it. Like those little things. Or you have to punt and you pin them at the 5 instead of it going into the end zone and putting them out at the 20. Like the hidden yardage, all that little stuff was not good enough last year. And I have to see it at Arrowhead Stadium against Nebraska before I'm gonna get on the boat of this is definitively going to be a team that plays at and or exceeds its talent level, because I think its talent level is now at the Big 12 level.
Right. We got to see the results of coaching and coach them up.
Yeah.
That's the old saying. And we got to see if this staff does that, if they can do it. I mean, I think they can, obviously, but you got to prove it.
It's in there. Go do it.
Right.
I agree. Right. Well, we got a couple weeks left before some of those answers will be given to us on the field at Arrowhead. Big game, week 1. And
that is so big. That is great way to start the season.
Holy Grail, Thursday the 28th. Are you coming?
Me?
Yeah.
I may be there, yeah. I want to be.
You say that, and then you haven't showed up at any of these things.
I can't, because I don't think I'm going to be at Arrowhead. I wish I was, but I'm not.
I'm hopefully tomorrow night I'll have some announcements to make about that event, but we're going to make it an event. It's not just going to be a standard watch party. I think we're going to do some stuff. I can
see the game, see it.
Yes.
If you are unable to make the Holy Grail watch party, if you're at Remington Tavern, however, that's acceptable. We'll be totally okay with that.
Well, yes. We'll see. We'll see. But I haven't made my plans yet, but I will. And if I can, I'll be somewhere. That's for sure, because that's going to be must-see TV for me.
It's going to be a big one.
Chad. We'll let you off the hook with that, but thanks for giving us a little update.
Thank you, Chad.
Appreciate you. All right, switching gears here, George. The Cincinnati Reds. The trade deadline was last week.
Yeah.
July 31st, and the Reds make 3, I won't say large acquisitions because I don't believe that, truthfully, any of the moves were big team moves, especially when you're trading salaries to make it work for reasons that I simply just will never understand. But the Reds pick up third baseman Ke'Bryan. Is it? I guess Ke'Bryan Hayes, Zach Littell. Zach Littell, Zach Littell,
Zach Littell.
and
on
Miguel
the mound tonight.
And Miguel Andujar, an outfielder, a lefty outfielder at that. None of these moves really moved the needle for me. You needed a big bat in your corner, in one of your corners, left field, right field, or third base, first base. Well, at third base, you brought in a guy who has a Gold Glove in his trophy case, and poor kid. One of his first plays as a Cincinnati Red, if not his very first play as a Cincinnati Red. He just misreads the jump on the turf. It eats him up and ends up in left field, passing him up and giving up 2 runs. Now, he did answer back in a way that he doesn't normally, hitting a 3-run home run in that same game. His debut as a Red, just very highs and lows in that game for Ke'Bryan Hayes. But maybe the most Cincinnati Red thing ever for his debut there. Zach Littell, we'll see what he's all about. I believe this is his first start as a Red.
Yep.
And then Miguel Andujar, like I said, he's a lefty. He's got a big bat at times, but he's
right. He hits lefties well.
Okay, I had it backwards.
In
any case,
he has a good bat against left-handers, or certainly has been this year. And that's probably why they brought him in. And it's better than kind of what they were running out there, to be honest.
Connor Joe? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So, look, I think, Hayes is an upgrade defensively at third base. I'm not sure my blanket statement on the deals, they're okay because they are 3 serviceable guys at this level that will help over what they had. They're not blockbusters. They're not going to, send the Reds to the World Series. But they are help. And you've got somebody defensively there at third, or historically, his track record is such that he's one of the best in the business. But where does he fit long term? Is this just like a short term move, even though they're bringing on that contract? Because, Sal Stewart's knocking on the door. He's banging on the door.
Well, I wonder if the plan for Sal Stewart now is either going to be one of those corner outfield spots, trying him out there, or first base.
Yeah, it raises a lot of questions as to what they are going to do there. And first base is probably an option. But, yeah, it just seemed kind of odd that you got a third base prospect like that who's tearing it up the way he is, and then you bring on, I don't know, it's like 3 more years plus of salary that they're taking on with Hayes.
I thought it was 4, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, you may be right. But it was an investment, and it's like they're on the hook for it, and it just seemed kind of odd. But there's more moves they can make after this season if they feel comfortable doing it. And, who knows? But I guess it's better to have that problem than not have it and be searching for anybody to play third.
It just seems
surprised me.
It just seemed to me that's a move that you make when you have the dudes to make a move like that, when you have the bats to make a move like that.
Right.
And truthfully, it doesn't feel, especially at a position like third base where you traditionally have a lot of power. Most of the guys in the MLB who play third base have a lot of power. And you bring in a guy who, granted, he's got a Gold Glove and you've struggled defensively at third base, but he did hit a home run in his debut, but he's not a power bat. It's another head scratching move that we've come to familiarize ourselves all too much with now with this front office.
Yeah, his outlier was a couple years ago when he hit like 270 something. He may have had 15 homers, but that hasn't been the track record of him for each season. His batting average has, I think, been 250 or below.
Right.
Certainly hasn't hit that number of home runs in any other season. So it was kind of odd, but it also said that they'd given up on Noelve Marte playing third. I mean, they had already been pushing him in the outfield, and I'd much rather have him out there. And I still think he can be a viable bat at the major league level. So it kind of, throws him out there, which he's probably better off being out there. That's a bit of a head scratcher, but I guess I can see a little bit where they're coming from. Thank God they got Littell, because Lodolo does the blister thing last night. And here we are again, and is Hunter Green going to make that start in the minors on Friday, I guess, that he's supposed to get up to 80 pitches or whatever? Or do they just say, screw it and bring him back now? I don't know what they're going to do.
On the blister situation as to why he gets it. And this isn't the first time he's had blisters.
No, this has been an ongoing thing.
So apparently the way that he grips the ball for one of his pitches is the reason that he gets these blisters. He changed his grip. He did change it to try and alleviate getting these blisters from the way that he's gripping it. And he lost his command on the pitch. He lost some of his juice on the pitch. So he had to go back to his old grip. And now he's back to getting the blisters. He's even tried so much as to roughen the skin there to try and avoid getting blisters. None of these things are working. It's just unfortunate because when he's on, and you can't imagine you don't really want to mess with that, right?
Right. I mean, he's having a pretty darn good year this year until this. He had that dominant, complete game. Didn't pitch that great the next time out, but he was pitching well. I mean, what was it? An inning plus last night, but he looked good. That's a loss, man. That's too bad. I don't know what you do about that. Like, I don't know if they're allowed to, I don't know that they can use new skin or anything like that guys use in bowling to deal with blisters. I don't know that you're allowed to use that substance. I don't know, but it seems like there's something they could do to help him with this issue. But you would think they have the best of the best looking into it, but they haven't been able to come up with anything. So, back to these trades, though, it's just kind of, they're a little better, but is it going to be enough? And is it going to be enough? And they need the pitching, really, if they're going to get this done. And you can't have Green and Lodolo out. It looks like Green may be back soon, but now how long is Lodolo going to be out? And it's like, thank God they got this guy who's on the mound tonight, because, what are they going to slide Martinez back in as a starter? I don't know what they'll do, but we shall see. But it just seems like good old Reds, man. You plug one hole and another one pops open. They are cursed, it seems like, when it comes to any moves they make. It seems like they end up still having holes to fill, and that's where they're at now.
Yeah, and you wonder when Hunter Green comes back, how long?
Right.
He's been on again, off again. The Littell move it was intriguing because it moved Nick Martinez into the bullpen,
right,
where he's been, but that makes you wonder, why are you dumping $21 million into a guy who's going to your bullpen? We're back to kind of that move from the offseason, bringing Martinez back on the guaranteed deal.
Right.
Just a bunch of weird moves that this front office has made, and right now, I don't feel like they have a plan. I don't feel like any of these moves put you over the hump I don't think you can win the pennant. I think you can challenge, but I don't think you can win. I think that we're probably, I don't know. I saw somebody say that this feels like they're going to get hot against the Cubs in this series. You win a game last night that maybe you shouldn't have won on a crazy play at first base.
That was so wild.
Dansby Swanson, who traditionally kills the Reds too, by the way.
Right.
But, it feels like the Reds are going to do some things against the Cubs and then drop games that they shouldn't in the next series against the Pirates and have the post All-Star game drop off that we're used to.
I hope they do get it done against the Cubs, and then they can worry about the Pirates then. But I know what you're saying. That's the kind of stuff that continues to happen. It's kind of happened this year, actually, all the way through. So,
yeah,
it's happened in seasons past, and it's been happening this year. And they just kind of muddle along where they are. And
no peaks and valleys, George.
Kind of wild card, huh?
No peaks and valleys. That's what they told us.
Yeah. Hey, they haven't been swept in a series.
There's something to be said for that, I guess.
I think there's a little something to be said for that, but it is interesting that they've been able to accomplish that. But yeah, I mean, it's they did get away with one last night a little bit with that call. That was just crazy. I mean, God bless the Reds for catching that as quick as they did. And I know they have people that do that, but holy God, when I saw the first replay, I'm like, what are they thinking? And then you saw the other angle, and it's like, sure enough.
Just missed the bag completely for those of you who did not see it. Dansby Swanson running to first base. I guess he was trying to avoid stepping on the first baseman on the first baseman's ankle on his foot. I don't really know.
Yeah,
the bags are huge now. I don't know how you're worried about that, but whatever.
Yeah, he was like that far in front of the bag with his foot, and then the other foot goes over because he's running full speed, and then he drags it across, and it was too late. And that was a decent play by Hayes, by the way, that got him in the end.
Yep. So it was. I don't know. We'll see what kind of noise they'll be able to make. I'm just nervous always because I'm still just as a lifelong Reds fan.
I know.
Team that hasn't won a playoff series since 1995. Just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
They're getting good enough pitching to make that run. If they hopefully somehow it holds together with these injuries, but the bullpen's been pretty good, and Pagan continues to get it done. Man, I did not see that coming. I did not see him fulfilling this role the way he has, and I mean, he's proved me wrong. I wasn't sure that was going to work, but it has.
Currently 59-54, 9.5 games back on Milwaukee, 6.5 back on Chicago, sitting in third place. In the wild card, they're 3 games back on San Diego, a team that they traded away their entire farm system, and they made a ton of moves to try and make their playoff push. So I don't know if we're going to catch San Diego or not, but we shall see. That all said, I do want to.
San Diego is pretty much abandoned, like the prospects thing now.
Yeah. Yeah, they traded away everybody.
League level, and that's it.
Yes. As for this game on Saturday, this past Saturday at the Bristol Speedway, what a mess! People are calling it the Fyre Fest of baseball. You had 82,000 people there. You had several concerts before the game. You had a game that got rained out after less than one full inning, and you have somehow the way I understand it, Bristol gave the entirety of running everything to baseball rather than continuing to run it as Bristol, and they clearly had no idea what they were doing.
Apparently not. I'm glad I wasn't there.
You ran out of food. You ran out of drinks. You ran out of all sorts of things. Parking was an issue. I don't know how you messed this up. You have a stadium that holds far more people than 82,000 that do this regularly every year for a giant race. And granted, a lot of that is campers, people in campers. I don't know. Us city folk we're very used to being able to go somewhere, hop in an Uber and be there. Uber was a giant issue that people had no idea. Hotels are not really around Bristol the way that you might think they are as a traveler. And that was an issue with people trying to find places to stay, especially when they found out that the game was postponed until the next day. Just seemed like there was no contingency plan for in case of weather, which this has been the wettest summer that I can remember. I don't know how you mess this up so badly on so many different levels and expect to really ever gain the trust of anybody who, if you're to ever try and do this again.
Yeah, that was a disaster all the way around. First of all, starting the game, like, why did they even start that? Like like you said, they didn't even get an inning in, and you burned both starting pitchers. Then you come back the next day, everybody's burning their bullpens up. That part was a debacle. I have no idea why they started that the way they did without knowing. I mean, I guess I do know why they did, because they had 90,000 people there. And they're like, holy crap, if we have even a ghost of a chance of playing some baseball, we have to. I guess they felt like they had to put on some kind of show with all those people there instead of saying, hey, sorry, come back tomorrow. And, maybe half of them did. But boy, that's not good for those teams to have them out there playing in that and burning those starting pitchers like that. And that was crazy. And then, like you said, all the fan stuff with the concessions and stuff. How in the world, like you said, Bristol's used to doing this. They know what they're doing. That's, they should have been running that show from top to bottom, I guess.
I just don't understand how you let yourselves even get into a position like that without having 1,000 conversations about how this can go any type of direction and what contingency plans you would have in place. It's just bananas to me that it went as poorly as it did. And I think being dubbed the Fyre Fest is probably super accurate, especially when you saw, nachos without cheese. You saw hot dogs without buns.
Right.
I know some people were comparing it to when UC went and played Indiana, and they ran out of, they ran out of beer, they ran out of water. At Indiana, I don't know that Bristol.
Yeah, I was at Indiana. And it was hot. It was a hot day, man, and they ran out of bottled water and all that. Oh yeah. And I'm so glad I didn't go down to Bristol. I thought, okay, I guess this is the age of me. I just thought it was kind of a bad idea. And I'm like thinking, 85, 90,000 people and all leaving, at the same time of a baseball game. I didn't want to get involved in that.
Fair enough.
I was glad you didn't. I would have done it.
I'm glad you didn't. Let's switch gears and talk about maybe something a little more positive. The Cincinnati Bengals are going to be remaining in Cincinnati through June of 2036, with 10 option years that could extend the lease through June 2046. They moved this thing across the finish line. It was voted 2-1 to pass, and the Bengals are here to stay.
How about that? Everyone can rest easy now. I figured they would get this worked out. It was certainly in the city and the county and the area's best interest to get it done. I'm glad they did. I'm glad they did it to agreeable terms and probably better terms than what they got the last time. These things, they're never easy to do. So I'm glad they did. I'm glad that's behind us now. And what do we have? 11 years before it rears its ugly head again?
At least, yeah.
Like that. Yeah. So hopefully they are here to stay. I'm glad they got it done. Now it's, get the product right on the field. And, we're a couple days away from seeing the first step for that this year.
The stadium opened in the year 2000, puts it at 25 years old. It's going to be going under a $470 million renovation to maintain a best-in-class NFL stadium. Hoping to get concerts in here, hoping to get whatever events they can get. We'll see if the county's able to drum up some other things in a stadium that does not have a dome. But the Bengals are also putting $120 million of their own dollars into the renovation as well. So I don't know. It seems like both sides were able to come to an amicable agreement. Makes me wonder if they're getting any money from. I didn't read up enough on it to know if they're getting any money from the state of Ohio, as the Browns are in that regard. If that ever came to rear its ugly head through any and all of this, or if we're just trying to quietly sweep that under the rug, while both teams are trying to work out some stadium deals at the same time with the same team running both deals, which is crazy to me. But
right,
that's where we're at.
Yep. Welcome to the state of Ohio.
Yeah. The Cincinnati Bengals did make a move this week, pretty big move, bringing in a new tight end. As we knew Eric All was going to miss this season, he, of course, offers an awful lot as far as a skill level tight end goes. He's able to, kind of do those blocks and what have you as a tight end would, but he's also able to go out and catch a pass,
Right.
which he showed really good flashes last season, and you hate that he's injured and going to miss this entire season. But the Bengals did not sit on their laurels on this one, and Noah Fant. They bring in Noah Fant. He's a young guy who's already become a bit of a journeyman, but I'm excited. This is what we were talking about several years ago when we said that this Joe Burrow should create an effect where free agents want to be here. And Noah Fant made a trip after he was here, I believe, to both New Orleans and Miami, and ended up settling on the Bengals. And we don't usually hear stories like that.
No, and there are guys, as you say, want to come here and play because when you have a guy like Burrow, you got a chance at a ring, right? You got a chance at playing in a Super Bowl because he's done it and did it in his, second season, which is crazy. So, yeah, that's a good pickup. It's a good complimentary piece, to what you already have at tight end, especially, because you're reading more and more about, Gesicki may do a lot of slot stuff. We'll see. I want to see how that shakes out. But they definitely have a need for a tight end like this guy, who's will probably be. Yes, he can go out and get the ball, but he'll probably be asked to do a little more dirty work than what Gesicki is asked to do. But it's good for the offense. I just, as we sit here, I said last week that Trey Hendrickson would be signed by the time we talked again, and I was wrong about that. And I haven't heard boo about that. Have you?
I have not. And it makes you wonder, but he did come back. He's at least in camp. He's not dressed and playing, but he is in camp. He's offering advice to Shamar Stewart, who people are saying they like what they've seen out of Shamar Stewart in camp. So, Trey Hendrickson, while he's not out there, and truthfully, if he misses all of camp, I'm not going to be worried about what reps he's missed to try and get back to speed. I think he plays at one speed and one speed only. But
yeah, I'm not too worried about that either. In fact, it's almost
better.
In some regard, it's kind of nice. Not any wear and tear. He's not exposed to injury. You know what I mean? Don't put him. Yeah, I'm not saying put him in bubble wrap, but I think he's a guy that he can fall out of bed and go rush a quarterback.
But at least he's there giving advice to the young kid.
Right. And by the same token, I'm very, very pleased to hear that they think, the first team offense is going to get more than one series, maybe several series in this game against the Eagles, and maybe even more work in the second one to avoid, what we seem to see season after season after season is these dang slow starts by the offense.
Well, and you figure you have to change something at some point, right? If you want to change the same thing that's been happening over and over and over again, something's got to give. And
Right.
so instead of losing, 2, 3, 4 games in a row at the beginning of the season, let's switch it up and maybe play some of the starters in some of the preseason games. I'm thrilled that they're actually making this move, especially when you're talking about bringing in an entirely new defense under Al Golden. You need to get starters some reps. I'm a little less concerned about the offense, although offensive line, there's plenty of question marks up and down that offensive line. I still would love to see the Bengals bring in a guard the same way they brought in a tight end when they recognized an issue, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, I'm pleased as punch that they are trying to get a fast start to the season, which I don't know how that evaded you the last several years, but I'm glad they're doing something different to get there.
And yes, and I felt like 2 years ago they should have started doing this. But Joe's come into these camps and been banged up a little too. He had the wrist thing last year. The year before, was it the calf or something?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
So he hasn't really been able to go out there in these preseason games. I mean, maybe he could have, but you didn't want to risk that when he's already dealing with something. This year it feels like more of a green light situation where they can really cut it loose. And they could have done more of that with the other guys last year, and I wish they would have. But it's good that they're going to have Joe out there and the whole deal. And Chase wasn't playing last year either in training camp. So it would have been that was part of the issue. They didn't have, they couldn't go out there. Because I felt like after, 2022 season, and they started off with those losses, and it's like, okay, you can't do this anymore with this, not playing guys and all that. But some of them couldn't play in the preseason. So it seems like they have the full complement. I don't know what's going on. Mims was beat up a little bit, right? Like, I don't know what's going on there. The right tackle. There's been some guys getting some rest on the offensive line, and I get that. They're veterans, the veteran guys. But hopefully they're healthy enough that they can go out there and get the reps in and be ready to fire when the season starts. There will probably be a couple guys they'll protect a little bit. But, yes, that is music to my ears. And my guess is they're going to want to do some of that on the defensive side of the ball too. I mean, new system, I would like to see, Stewart get a lot of work, and you're going to see the other guys playing in front of him on the defensive line get a lot of work too. I hope that they would do that on both sides of the ball because it's necessary, and they're working on a new system there.
Well, linebacker, I don't know. Is there anybody back from last season at linebacker other than Logan Wilson? I think it's a brand new room outside of him.
Question. I'm not sure there is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's weird to think of, but yeah, I'm not sure there is. So
good for Zach Taylor recognizing an issue and getting to it 3 years late. Well done. Happy to hear it. Outside of that, did want to update the Reds right now against the Cubs are in the they just ended the 7th inning. They're up 5-1. Spencer Steer hit a 3-run blast to put them up 4-1.
I'd like to get him going. That's his first hit of August, I think.
They're up 5-1, and Andujar, the newly acquired Andujar, is DHing tonight. He's 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored. So, dude's doing some things. Good stuff. Last but not least, we'll get real quick to FC Cincinnati. They're in the weird spot of the season where they're doing this Leagues Cup stuff. Hasn't been super kind to them, as they beat Monterey in the first round, the first game. I don't even know if it's rounds. They tie Juarez on Sunday, this past Sunday. They play Guadalajara on Thursday, where they're favored. but they were favored to beat Juarez as well. And then it's all over. Finally, we can move on to your regularly scheduled program as Sunday.
If they win, they'll get in that knockout round, though. And then, so if they win Thursday, there's more to come in this Leagues Cup. But they work it in until I think the championship is like the end of August. It might even be the 30th or 31st. I don't know. That's probably not right, though, because that's a weekend. They probably have MLS then. But somewhere late in the month is that championship, I believe. But, yeah, I don't understand. Like, I'm glad Saturday or Sunday they get back into MLS action.
Put it to bed. They play Charlotte, though, on Sunday, and they are favored as minus 130 to Charlotte's plus 333 with a plus 280 on a draw. Not a whole lot to be said there. They're still sitting in second place on the table behind Philly, who they do see Philly later on this season or later on this month, ending the month on the 30th, actually, of August against Philly. But outside of that, I don't know that I have anything else unless you do, George.
No, I'm perfectly content. Been a busy week, and it'll be a busier week. And, we got the Bengals on Thursday night.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I mean, isn't it crazy? You sit there and you're looking forward to a preseason game, and then middle of the second quarter, it's like, who are these guys? You're just perusing down the roster. Oh, yeah, I forgot about him. It's fun to watch these kids get a chance to play and see who shines and who catches your eye.
Well, Des Ritter, one of those guys.
I love to watch that.
Jamoy Mays, one of those guys as well.
Yeah.
So if you're a Bearcats fan, there's some stuff to watch there.
Yep.
You also got plenty of rookies though up and down this roster at this point. That they not just guys that the Shamar Stewart, and Dylan Fairchild, but also, I mean, you got starters in the linebacking core now that were rookies. You've got some second-year guys up and down that defensive line that you're hopeful that they can emerge as some dudes. Defensive backs, we know pretty much who your starters are going to be in the defensive backfield, but I'm curious what the depth is behind those guys. So there's plenty of storylines in that regard.
We'll probably see some Taj Brooks, which I'd like to see. Reports have been pretty good so far coming out about him. I guess they feel good enough about him. They just finally let Zach Moss go.
And Travion Henderson. Henderson finds his way up to Cleveland. So,
yeah. So that's good. So that's encouraging, and I can't wait to see the kid. I certainly was impressed by him with Texas Tech.
I agree. Outside of that, though, that's going to wrap things up here for George in the Jungle. Thanks, as always, to our sponsors, Cincy Light for the studios and Remington Tavern for the show. You can catch Remington Tavern at 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140, where they have their daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m., $5 bourbon whiskey Wednesdays, bottle cap bonanza Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. Check them out on Instagram at RemyTavCincy or follow them on Facebook. Be sure to grab an ice cold Cincy Light on tap while you're there. But for George Vogel, I'm Aaron Smith. We'll be back here next Tuesday at 9 p.m. to discuss all of your Cincinnati sports.
Thank you, Aaron.